This is an emergency broadcast of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. This is not a drill. Remove any children and pets from your home and go to your nearest shelter. Remember to at all times listen to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. And whatever you do, do not under any circumstances trust what you see.
All right, I hit the record button. So, Cuz, how we doing?
I'm good. Enjoying the weekend.
Good. Very good.
You know, the weather's nice. It's not raining. No more floods.
Finally stops just in time for the weekend.
But they were spraying like crazy yesterday. I mean, just from the morning all the way till I went to sleep, even I saw them doing it.
They were spraying?
Yeah, you don't see them. The planes spray.
Oh, that's spraying. No, yes. I don't go outside ever, so.
Well, we have a really nice balcony and a garden, and you know, yesterday it was right on top of the house. I'm like, what's so obvious, man?
They're on to us. I record from my bunker.
Oh yes.
Yeah, out in the middle of the woods.
Speaking of bunker, there's a really cool Oculus game that you're in a bunker and you're supposed to try and get out, and all these buttons you're supposed to press. You're supposed to find all these.
Oh, is it like really escape the room? Those games. Yeah, those are fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. That's the only stuff I like on Oculus is those puzzle games.
Dude, I play the hell out of Beat Saber. And there's this game. There's this game called shit. Every time we record, I cannot remember a goddamn thing. It's called Super Hot, and it's like a shooter, but time only moves if you move. So you have to like plan your moves, and you're getting attacked by people.
Oh, yeah, I think I know that one. You got a gun, right? You have to pick it up and then shoot them sometimes. Yeah, that's a really cool game.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's like a live action puzzle.
Yeah, it goes in slow motion, right?
Yeah, like if you stand still, time moves like almost completely stops. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really like that game. I don't think I got very far because it gets really complicated. Like, it is 4 people start coming after you.
Mm-hmm. And you have to look all around you because you'll always get hit by from behind because you don't see them coming.
Yeah. So it's good training, I guess. I'm like, you know, if you're like some intelligence officer or something like that.
If you're training to be John Wick.
You think guys like that actually exist?
No, I don't.
I mean, neither. John Wick. They're fun though. Those revenge movies are great to watch.
Yeah, I love them. I mean, they're fantastic. All right.
That's introduction.
Sure. Yeah. Before I forget, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. Joined with me, as always,
UAP
is Adam. I am Topher, and we are here to uncover some anomalies.
Yes, we are.
We're here to chew gum and uncover anomalies, and I'm all out of gum.
Yes, or at least talk about it. You know, it really helps.
I'm going to say we uncover them.
Okay.
Sure, we don't truly prove anything, but we are uncovering them.
We are uncovering them, and I think everything takes time to become a pro at. I know this. You know, I always suck at everything I start, and then I'm like, wow, I can't believe how bad I was at whatever it was I was doing, right? So I think podcasting is the same thing, and us trying to uncover these anomalies. I think eventually we'll get to the point where we're actually uncovering anomalies.
Yeah. Beethoven didn't come out of the womb as a perfect musician. Shakespeare, he wasn't a newborn writing out plays. It takes practice to do anything.
It does. Yes, it does. And the good news is that we are kind of obsessed with this subject, and we're always looking out for things. And if you're busy and you don't have time like we do, then you can always come to this podcast and listen to the new anomalies of the week.
Yeah, and deal with our insane takes on all the news that goes on. I don't think they're that insane. Yeah, go ahead.
No, speaking of insane takes, I was going to say I have an account on Twitter, which it has a good following, and
this is your personal account.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, so it's still not my name, but so Anomaly, he's a big account. He's a rapper, but he's a journalist, right? He talks about he has really good takes. He had great takes on COVID, and he's always straight up, gives you the truth. Anyway, he had a poll on flat Earth. He goes, all right, globe or flat Earth. Now, thankfully, mostly everyone said globe, right? But then I said, I'm like, flat Earth is a provable psyop to muddy the waters of truth movements, especially 9/11. And man, everyone just went nuts. No, bro, you should research it, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I knew it was going to happen. I mean, I get it. I went down that rabbit hole like a decade ago. But, you know, and I think I believed it for a year. I think it was a good year I believed it. But then I snapped out of it. You know, I'm like, I'm simulating it all wrong. This is a huge planet. It's huge. We are tiny, like really, I think like a speck of dust. So I'm not simulating it right in my head. It's just huge. It's going to look flat for as long as even 100 miles up, it's going to look flat to something like me. So, you know, that's what it is.
We talked about it it might have even been last week. It's just us humans. We can't, because of the size we are and because of how limited our perception is. It's impossible to scale things properly. I mean, people, and this is the example I used last time, is when you look at a model of the solar system, you go, oh, look how big Jupiter is compared to Earth. Earth must not be that big. And no, that's just how big Jupiter is. It's just we can't fathom that because we truly have no frame of reference.
We don't. I mean, what is it? That eye, the red storm? That's a good point. The red storm is like 5 Earths. Like, could you imagine that?
No, I mean, that's the thing. I can't imagine that. No one can. Yeah, it really is. It truly is insane.
Yeah, I'm reading also Ringmakers of Saturn, right? It's an old book, I think from the 60s. And one of these craft that he said were crafts, right, making these rings, were also like 4 Earths. You know, a craft. So, I mean, it's just, that's, anyway. And well, you know, let's talk about our subject, which is UFOs and aliens.
Well, this is good. This is more along UFOs, not truly aliens, but it is the biggest story going on right now.
Yes.
Balloon Boy is back.
Oh yes, Balloon Boy.
No, but maybe is there any chance if I get I know we're usually about a week late on episodes, but to stay topical, we might want to try and put this one up today if we can.
Okay. I was going to ask you that because we have the one ready from last week, so I can just upload both of them, and that means we're current.
We'll do a double feature.
All right, cool, man. Yeah. That's even better.
Because I think this is one of those stories. If we wait a week, it's going to be completely out of the news. In fact, I think by tomorrow it's going to be out of the news. So for those of you who have been living under a rock, I'm gonna tell you the official story. China released a spy craft. Basically, it's a giant balloon with some sort of mechanical machine underneath it. It's got solar panels, and it's kind of hard to see. I've seen one really good picture of it, but anyway, it's this giant balloon. Supposedly, it flew out of China, through Alaska, around Canada, and into Montana. the northwestern United States, into my hometown, home state. Excuse me, not my hometown, my home state of Montana, and that's where the news first broke. And I believe that was Monday. You would send me a message, and then a couple of days later, it was in, I want to say, one of the Kansas. I think it was Kansas. And then as of yesterday, it was shot down over the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of North Carolina.
After a transmission, right?
Yeah. So basically, the public knew that this balloon had floated into our country, above our country, and gone across the entire United States over the course of a week, and then was shot down once it had left. I've seen a lot of ridiculous, weird takes on it. People online are idiots, and I don't. Serious talking to me. I don't really care what their thoughts are, but I do care about your thoughts, Adam. So give me your thoughts on this giant balloon that from China.
I don't know. You know, I at first I was like, you know, this is really weird, right? I mean, I know the administration is close to them. The Pentagon's going to lie. You know, they have satellites up there. That's why we have Space Force, right? At least that's the excuse for it. So why would they send something that's archaic? You know, so they're saying it's by accident and it's you know, for scientific purposes. I don't buy it, especially when they found another one coming from Latin America. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Why is there 2 of them?
It really doesn't add up. China's story was that it was non-military and it was a weather balloon, of course.
Of course, yeah.
I don't know if they're still sticking to that story.
I mean, I think it's a distraction because a lot of these things with COVID are coming out, and all of a sudden this thing shows up. Especially with Pfizer, and that thing came up too, right?
I was going to say let's shelve the Project Pfizer talk or Project Veritas Pfizer talk until let's finish talking about the balloon first.
Okay. I think it's a distraction. And then there's something else. There's something else. Because we are a free capital country. Anyone can come and invest in this country. Anyone can buy land. That's just how we are, right? We're a capitalist country, like to the extreme. Now China has bought land near military bases, and there's no law stopping them from doing that. And it's been a problem because they are spying on military bases. So, what if this is just, and I read somewhere that this was also launched from U.S. soil, this balloon. So, what if this is like a way for us to say, all right, let's make a law that China cannot buy any more land in the United States, or at least near military bases. I started thinking that was going on.
That seems like a really long way around it. I mean, just the other week or two ago, Texas banned, I think it was Saudi citizens from buying land in Texas.
Really?
Yeah, it really wasn't that long ago. And there was no balloon that was floated over there.
Okay, so they can just make laws. All right, so
yeah, it is.
I don't know, man. It's just weird because
it's very weird to me that the public caught wind of it almost immediately after. Well, people were taking pictures of it and wondering what the hell was going on. Our government came out and confirmed it was a Chinese satellite, and they kept saying, we can't shoot it down. We can't shoot it down. We can't shoot it down. They waited a whole week and then they shot it down. I mean,
over the ocean.
Yeah, it was supposedly, and I kind of get it because in case there's something deadly and dangerous that's in that satellite, you'd want to shoot it down over the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of things that don't make sense to me in this story.
What do you think?
There's a lot of open land. I understand why they would. Okay, I got a lot of thoughts on this.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know, the area of Montana that the balloon flew over, we do have at least one big military base there.
Yeah.
Also, Eastern Montana.
It's a nuclear one too.
I was just about to say, Eastern Montana has a big chunk of nuclear silos over there. That's common knowledge. We're not breaking any news there. If you didn't know, it's not that big of a deal, but it is public knowledge.
And not just that, there was famous UFO sightings there, right? That shut down UFO nuclear silos.
It was in the 50s. It was one of the most, the one I'm thinking of anyway. It flew over a military base. It was on video. You can find those videos online.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those ones. I think Project Blue Book, they researched it and they said, we don't know what this is. And this was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
And one of the first big UFO sightings. I don't like the story that the government is pushing that they couldn't shoot it down and then they did shoot it down. There's a lot. If anyone knows what this country looks like, Montana and Kansas and everything in between there's a lot of open territory where there is not a person for miles.
Right.
And that excuse doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Another thing that doesn't add up is that the U.S. government would confirm that it was a Chinese satellite. The fact that they're using a balloon doesn't make any sense to me. When you're right, you said this earlier. The Chinese and a bunch of other governments, I'm sure, have satellites constantly flying overhead that could see a lot better and is a lot less risky to their government to use those satellites than it would be to float a giant balloon.
Exactly.
I mean, the story really doesn't make any sense. Yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't add up, especially even if it was civilian. We don't do that. I don't see anyone else doing that. I mean, why would they think they can just do that? Over a country's airspace. Especially that it's movable. They said it was movable. Why would it go over military bases too? So it's just all weird as usual with these things. Like no one can just give us a straight answer.
And I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to use something that's so. I mean, it was seen with the naked eye. People were reporting this thing the second it entered our airspace.
Right. Like,
why use something like that? It's so obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, especially China, they've proven time and time again they've had spies in our country hanging out with people in charge Who was it? Stallwell, Swalwell, whatever his name is.
Fartwell, that guy from California.
That guy. Yeah. He was hanging out with Chinese spies. I mean,
Bang Fang.
They don't need to float balloons over, so that doesn't make any sense to me.
Exactly. We have TikTok on our phone. I mean, that's enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, someone did say this, though, that what if, because, the latest UFO report was saying that all these UAPs were Chinese, what if they sent this thing that's archaic and old just to say, like, no, it's not. This is what we have.
I thought that was funny. I have seen that argument made in certain places online. That they're using it, and I have seen the same thing, that it truly is a U.S. Balloon that they blamed on China. So anytime someone sees any kind of UAP in the sky, the U.S. government now has precedent to say, "Oh, it's some sort of Chinese hardware flying around."
Right. Yeah. Could be that.
I mean,
too.
what we're going back to uncovering stuff. We haven't uncovered any truth, but we have uncovered that the world is really stupid. Whatever the official story is, it's not that, and it just seems like whatever it is dumb. It's some sort of psyop. I don't understand it.
Some sort of psyop. I mean, or at least a distraction.
Yeah.
It put because everyone was talking about it. It was everywhere. I was even obsessed with where the hell this thing was, and then all of a sudden, the one coming from Latin America, everyone's attention was on that thing instead of on something else that we completely just didn't even notice.
Did you actually see the footage of the balloon getting shot down?
Yeah, I did.
It's pretty cool.
It was cool. It blew up and then it just fell to the ocean.
Yeah. For all you kids listening, or when you do have kids, this is a great trivia fact. If you end up going to school in West Point or something, the first air-to-air battle, the first air-to-air contact that an F-22 won was between a balloon. That's
really?
First. Yeah. Dude, F-22. The F-22 Raptor is one of the. It's probably our best isn't the right word. Top tier aircraft that the military has, and they've never had an air-to-air combat situation before. And this is I don't think they've had any kind of. They haven't shot down any planes. That's what I'm getting at. This is the first thing in the air that an F-22 is shot down, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. So I didn't know that. So it's never gotten to battle before, huh?
I think it's gone to battle, but if you're shooting ground targets, it's not obviously not the same as being in a dogfight.
Right.
So pretty interesting stuff. And the F-22 Raptor's been around for quite a while now.
It has at least a decade. I mean, probably more.
The 90s, I think.
Oh no, I don't think so. No, it's after 9/11 for sure.
You think so?
Yeah. Or wait a minute, maybe not anymore. When did the F-22 come out? When did the F-22?
Introduction was 2005. You're right.
Okay. Yeah.
First flight was 1997.
Mid-90s, but not okay. But didn't enter service till 2005. Yeah, I mean they always take a long time. Yeah, 2005.
Anyway,
F-22 entered service 2005. But yeah, I mean,
cool little factoid right there.
It is. It's the
first aircraft that the F-22 shot down.
That is hilarious. No, I did not know that.
Well, let's jump into that. Let's jump into Project Veritas. We talked about that last week, but the story continues, and I think you're partially right that it is being used as a distraction. I'm not convinced that the balloon is a distraction for what's going on with the COVID vaccine.
Okay.
But Project Veritas did drop a second part of their breaking story from last week. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, what's in the new one that's going on? I mean, the guy obviously. Oh, Pfizer came out and said something. Right? They came out and did a press release about this, saying that they're basically trying to play with words, but they didn't deny it. That this is what they do. They're saying it's for their research, so they can get ahead of the mutations and know where it's going. So they are actively mutating it themselves, which I'm pretty sure is illegal.
They did one of those things where it's not gain of function; it's increasing the function to get a gain. Like basically, that's what it's. So it's just unreal. But did you see Project Veritas? They rented out that truck with a bunch of TV screens on it and parked it outside Pfizer and were broadcasting their story. Yeah. that was this week.
I did not see. That's hilarious. What did they do?
So they got like a flatbread. I don't know if it wasn't a flatbed truck. Basically,
like a van.
Well, no, like a big, like a U-Haul, except it had TV screens on the outside, and they were just playing this. They were just playing the fake interview they had, the fake date that they had with the guy outside of Pfizer. It was absolutely. They parked the truck outside of Pfizer, and they were playing it. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. Well, at least someone's doing it. But, again, they won't talk about that it was a DOD operation through and through, right? That everyone's got immunity. Even the people who are injecting you at the pharmacy, they are also immune because they are. It says it in the legal documents that they are employees of the DOD when they're doing this. So, Veritas won't talk about that for sure. Let's just take down Big Pharma. It's all their fault. Even BioNTech, which, because Pfizer didn't make the vaccine. It's a military contractor that made the vaccine, BioNTech.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, so it's just blaming the wrong person. Yes, it's messed up. I'm not saying they're not doing well, but they won't talk about the real issue.
Of course not.
Of course not. And no one's going to get in trouble. Even what's his name? Stu Peters yesterday. He's like, they're all going to be held accountable. They're all going to court. I'm like, no, dude, they're not. Nothing is going to happen to anyone.
I know. It's
so sad.
It's really and the reason, even if they broke the law, I mean, they did break the law. The reason they're not going is because the general public isn't aware of it because no one is reporting on it. And people, unfortunately, can't do their own research. They have to be told what to believe. So as I've discussed, I spent a lot of time on Reddit. I hate that website, but it can be useful. Yeah. The users are just the biggest fucking dweebs. And I say that as someone who uses Reddit, the biggest fucking dweebs on the planet. But I have seen this story from Veritas pop up here and there on different subs, and always gets shit on in the comments by people going like, oh, how can you trust this far right Nazi website? And then it's always the same exchange. That'll be the top comment. The follow-up comment has negative infinity downvotes will have a question like, what have they done to make you think that they're Nazis? And then there's never any solid proof as a response to that. They never say, here's the president, CEO, whatever, dressed up as Hitler doing a Nazi salute, throwing a bunch of people in gas chambers. It's always like, well, they'll post some bullshit link, and it usually has nothing to do with Project Veritas. It's someone else. They'll post a third party verifying what Project Veritas says, and the third party that they're using is some like commondreams.org, some very bizarre, weird, unheard of lefty website. And it's just, and they use that as proof, but they can't see that the proof is in front of their eyes already. I mean, it's just, it's unreal. I can't stand it. Anyway, that's my little rant about how dumb the users of Reddit are.
Yeah, I mean, but still, it's a great place to get news disseminated.
Yeah.
And to grab your news. Just don't listen. There's some really funny comments also. I mean, there are some funny commenters, funny trolls in there. But what's allowed to go on there, because it is highly censored.
Yes, it is.
You'll see some good takes just being taken off. Like, oh, wait, that makes some sense. And boom, it's gone.
It's not the same website as it was back in, I want to say 2012 was when. The website was very libertarian. It was all about free speech. Everyone wanted, what's his name for president? Your guy.
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul.
Yeah, he's a
everyone is obsessed with Ron Paul. Now it's just another Democrat shithole.
Yeah. I mean, did you ever look at that document that was released from 1956, like saucer plans, saucer craft that we did, the U.S. Air Force did, 1956. Is
that the one did you send that to me?
Yeah. I said it's from the Black Vault. He's done great work. I've been following him forever.
Didn't get a chance to look through that whole thing, but go ahead.
The details. All right, so it's these plans. It's 1956. I guess it's a proposal to the U.S. Air Force of this saucer-looking craft, and it's using ramjet technology, which is, I thought we only had since the 70s. But this was 1956.
Now,
and it's ramjet technology, gas turbines to give it lift.
Now, what is ramjet technology?
Ramjet is when you take air because it's full of oxygen and you light that on fire. The air that's coming into the engine. So you're not really. Yeah.
It has to filter. It has to filter the air because our air is like something like 80% nitrogen.
Right.
Oxygen is highly flammable.
Right.
But it's not contrary to popular belief, it is not the major, like air floating around you in any place is mostly nitrogen.
Right. So they do filter it out, and then they light that flammable gas, and then which gives it not
that's
lift,
a cool
but
idea.
gives it a thrust.
Gives it thrust. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how our jets are, like F-22s, F-16s. That's all ramjet. So this was in 1956, but applying it to a saucer-looking craft to give it lift, and they're talking about going supersonic, and the plans are very detailed. I mean, anyone with money, if you get this and you got like, I don't know, $1 billion or something, you can build this. That's how detailed the plan is. It has cutaways, and telling you exactly how it works. It goes right here. Four Rolls-Royce engines, telling you where to put the Rolls-Royce engines, which we find right now on airlines. Mm-hmm. Ramjet aircraft ducted fan assist. I mean, it's really crazy, and it's 1956. Which leads us perfectly into what you sent me, and which is also big news, which NASA and DARPA are working together for a nuclear-powered rocket or engine to take us to Mars. But we know, we know from also leaked documents that we started doing that in the early 60s, and that technology went dark. It went black. Not very long into it, you know what I mean? So we have something already. And Bob Lazar and people like that have said that nuclear energy is a way to create enough electromagnetic power to give something lift in the way Tesla wanted. So like a nuclear engine could, I don't know, whatever they need, terawatts of power on a right craft. If you generate that much electricity and energy, that you can make it lift. So it's the 60s.
Yeah, the timing of that article, because this is something I sent that to you because it seems like they're doing that thing where they kind of leave a trail of breadcrumbs so they can refer back to it later. Because you're right, this is something the U.S. government has been talking about for decades at this point, and just to release this kind of thing now seems like they can look at that, as an excuse to say, okay, all of this technology you see flying around the sky is ours. See. We've been developing this. We've been developing this for, here's the proof right here. Here's an article that NASA's developing this, where they truly have had it for a very long time already.
Yeah, exactly. They just shelve it, or, I get why they do this for national security. They want to see if an adversary does do it, that they say, all right, we have it too. It's just this game of just nations and national security. Maybe it's not a good thing. Maybe. Globalization is a good thing. I don't know. I always go back and forth because the problem with like national security is that it stunts progress and growth because you're too scared someone else is going to get the technology and use it against you.
Well, I think what it does is it stunts growth for the general public. But if all these black budgets across the world are competing against each other, that's a true capitalist wet dream, right? The cream will rise to the top. And I do think it's a little bit of you show a little tiny bit of your hand to get the other side to tip their whole hand, so you can compete against that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little game of cat and mouse, game of chess. Everyone jokes about the 5D chess thing, but it is a little bit of that. It's all psychological stuff. You're trying to fool the other side into thinking that you've got something you don't, or you're trying to bluff so they'll show you what they have.
Right, and a lot of people have said in the past that the UFO folklore and all of that was to scare Russia and China, and just saying that we have stuff that we really don't have. That was always an argument, but what always baffled me was the hypersonic missiles. How are we behind on that? Supposedly, we caught up pretty quick, right? But how are we behind on it to begin with?
Are we behind on it?
Officially.
What makes you say this? Because I don't actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So China and Russia have had hypersonic missiles in their arsenals, right? Is that what it's called? In their arsenal for a few years now. And I remember seeing on Congress, this Gates, Congressman Gates, he was interviewing, or there was a hearing for the DOD. And the new Secretary of Defense was there, and Gates was saying, "How can we be behind?" And he said it there. So I mean, if a congressman is saying that we were behind, I mean that's why I said it. So
yeah, I honestly don't believe that for a second.
I mean, exactly, right?
I don't think we'd be behind.
Yeah, I mean, because they steal everything from us anyway.
Yeah,
but we caught up really quick. So we had something, obviously. We just acted like, we're doing it now.
I think it's just governments. It's a bluff against a bluff against a bluff all the way down.
Yeah.
But there's real stuff at the bottom. I wouldn't ever believe. I mean, the U.S. government. How much money have we poured into the military-industrial complex?
$20 trillion are missing.
yeah, and that's just the missing. That's missing. So that's a fraction of what we've actually spent. So I have a real hard time believing we don't have the technology. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm surprised we haven't. Well, because wars truly aren't really fought. I mean, I was about to say wars really aren't fought with boots on the ground, but Russia and the Ukraine are definitely fighting boots on the ground.
Oh man, it's getting scary. I mean, we're sending tanks, and now what was the next one? Oh, we're not going to send F-16s. That means we are.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever the government tells you, it's the exact opposite.
Speaking of, you sent me another one, which I did see also. DARPA is now soliciting proposals for crafts to maneuver with no moving parts. No moving parts. Does that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Who else has no moving parts? I know Dr. Stephen Greer, whenever he talks about UFOs and aliens, he's been doing this for 2 decades now. He always says the ones that are, if you want to tell the difference between the ones that are human and alien, is that the ones that are alien have no moving parts. It's made out of one mold. You don't see any rivets. You see nothing. So it's weird now that DARPA is coming out and saying that they want a craft that does exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So now we really can't tell when it comes out.
I know. This is what I'm saying. I say it week after week, and it's true. My journey does not stop until I have a UFO with little alien creatures inside of it in the palm of my hands. And unless I'm inside the craft, smoking cigars with little grays from Mars or wherever, another dimension, my journey does not end. Because how can you tell? Nothing in the sky that I see is going to truly prove to me that the whole extraterrestrial UFO phenomena is real. Despite all, I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Especially in 2023, it's really hard. But you have to go back to the old. That's for me. That's how it does it for me. The old times, the 40s, the 50s, the 30s, and then that's it. I think 60s onwards, it's very difficult to pinpoint. Especially in this country. But then you have Mexico, you have other countries globally that don't even have air forces. So like that. I mean, that's how I would do it. Oh, and even like the NASA videos from a long time ago, just coming from deep space, these craft. I mean, it could be ours also.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's difficult, dude. So anyway, but this new program, we're going to have craft now that just move with no rudders, nothing like that. So here's more exactly on how wings generate lift. I mean, this is a very good article. It's on Popular Science, popsci.com. DARPA wants aircraft that can maneuver with a radically different method.
Well, the whole reason. So I'm going completely off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. I know you're going to know what I'm talking about. This is for our listeners, but the whole theory behind propulsion without lift, without thrust, is basically you generate a gravitational field in the direction you want to go. So basically you make the craft fall in that direction.
Right. You fill in the hole.
You can, right, it falls into that hole. And that's why supposedly the crafts need to be saucer shaped. That way it can go any direction, and there's no air resistance.
Right.
because if you're falling in a certain way, that's just gravity. You're still going to have to go up against air. That being said, that is just if the U.S. or any government terrestrial craft was going to work. That's the way it would work. It needs to be saucer shaped if it's going to fall into this gravitational hole because it still has air resistance. But as we're seeing from these UAPs, all the videos that you and I have shared and that everyone have seen, these things are going in and out of water. They're clearly not having any air resistance.
Nope. And there is a field around it. You can see the field around it, which like pushes, I guess, air out of the way, pushes water out of the way. It just has a nice bubble around it.
So there's something to that.
Yeah. And Tesla had plans for that, right? In the early 1900s.
He was I love reading about Tesla because he had some radical ideas, absolutely insane things where he believed he could light up the entire night sky with enough Tesla towers. Cool. He thought he had a theory that with the right, what's it called when something shakes at a very small level? He could. Yeah. He had kind of. He had the theory
seismic.
That's not seismic. Basically, he could shake any building to dust. With the right frequency.
Scalar waves.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a scary concept too. I mean, again, as far as I know, it's never been proven. But the guy was an eccentric genius. He
was. One of my favorite movies is The Prestige. I've watched it so many times.
Just thinking about The Prestige.
Yeah.
Very good. For those of you who haven't seen it, go watch The Prestige. Christian Bale, guy who plays Wolverine.
Hugh Jackman.
Huge jacked man. And also Michael Caine.
Michael Caine's in there. That's right. It's a Christopher Nolan movie.
It's a Christopher Nolan movie. It's very good. It's about two competing magicians. I highly recommend it. David Bowie's in it. David Bowie plays Tesla.
He plays Tesla.
He plays Tesla. Yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah. I haven't seen that in ages, but it's stuck with me. That's a great movie.
Because it's really magical, right? And it's a real wizard, and Tesla was a real wizard.
Yeah. This is completely off topic, but we were talking about movies. I have a bizarre question for you.
Yeah.
I gotta frame it. So I was always scared. Like I could not do scary movies for the life of me. For the life of me, I could not do scary movies growing up. And then I hit a certain age about 3-4 years ago where I cannot get scared by movies anymore. And everything seems so dumb. Not dumb, just okay. So for instance, the scariest movie to me growing up that I would have never watched was The Thing.
Okay.
Right. I watched it. It's really good. It's a really good movie, but it wasn't scary. And then
was it from the 50s? The Thing?
No, I think maybe it was the 80s.
Okay.
Is it The Thing? It's the one where it's the team of scientists down in Antarctica, and that monster keeps morphing and eating them one by one. Is that The Thing?
I don't know. I don't think I've watched it.
Yes, it's very famous. It is 1982, The Thing by John Carpenter.
Oh, Carpenter, of course, Carpenter.
Anyway, that was like I watched that. It was really good. I wasn't scared. I watched Event Horizon the other night. Yeah. Have you with Lawrence Fishburne and the guy from Jurassic Park? Have you seen that one?
Watch it. That's not a scary movie, is it?
Yeah, it is. They come across Lawrence Fishburne and his crew are tasked to go save. They get a distress call from a spaceship that disappeared around Neptune, and they go there, and the ship basically was using faster than light travel, but had instead accidentally traveled to hell and back. Maybe you're not a scary movie connoisseur like I am. Anyway, my question was, if as you get older, have you noticed that things aren't as scary? Movies, in particular, aren't as scary as they used to be.
Yes. I mean, like Nope is not a scary movie, but still there's that one scene that is scary, right? Stuff like Nope that. Yeah, that's such a good movie. But there's that one scene that's scary. That one scared me. I was like, oh, whoa, what's happening here? So stuff like that. That's That's not too in your face. When it's too in your face, it gets stupid. It's like, oh, come on.
I still don't like jump scares, but even those sometimes when you know they're coming, and you always know when they're coming.
What about found footage stuff like paranormal activity?
It doesn't scare me.
Doesn't scare you, huh?
No. It just looks like I don't know, especially found footage. It just looks like acting to me.
Okay, what about there's one that really freaked me out. It was a Japanese one, and she like falls downstairs or something when she's trying to walk, and like she walks all weird on her arms or shoulders or something. Have you watched that? Her hair's always covering her face.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
There's lots of knocking in it, like, or like I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'll try that one next.
Dude, that one really freaked me out. I won't watch it now. There's no way I'll watch it.
I don't know.
So stuff like that, like spirits that come after you, but then they look weird. Like, like why does she have to look like that? Why is her face in her hair? Why is she like walking like? Why is she like falling on the floor? I mean, it's just.
Okay, well, because I think I know that because it's the uncanny valley. Because if you can see something that you can identify as human, your brain goes, okay, that's a human. But if it starts acting, if it looks like a human and it doesn't act human, then it's like, oh shit, what am I looking at? That's the reason.
What the hell is that? Yeah.
Maybe I will keep this because we can fold this into. That's why people are so scared when they see extraterrestrials and they have abduction experiences. That's why it's so terrifying. Is because you see something that's vaguely humanoid and you go, and just your brain subconsciously goes, okay, this thing has two legs, a head, and eyes. It's something intelligent. I can identify with it on some level, but then it acts, and it's just weird enough that it's so outside of your understanding. Your lizard brain just goes like, oh, holy shit, I'm in danger. Get me the fuck out of here.
Fight or fright.
Yeah, fight or flight.
Fight or flight. Fight or flight mode. Speaking of that. What about that satellite we're gonna go mine for $10,000 quadrillion of
not a satellite,
asteroid, sorry,
yeah, we're gonna go mine it. That'll be interesting. Completely crash the economy.
Well, we're $30 trillion in debt. I mean, if the government can actually get something like that, maybe we can pay that off.
But see, you're giving the government too much credit because government's never going to pay off that debt.
It's never. No.
They're going to go get $30 gazillion of gold or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Or they'll go, oh, it was lost in transit, and you go, really? I mean,
it blew up. Yeah.
The
Chinese got it.
That's a very cool sci-fi thing that the government's planning. What did NASA say? 2027? Is that what the article said?
2027. It's Congress too. Congress told them to go look at these things.
Go get it.
10,000 quintillion. Currently, the entire global economy is estimated at roughly 110 trillion. So, I mean, it would kind of crash the economy.
Yeah. It's a very interesting. It's not that far fetched. NASA landed it's not a satellite. They landed technology on an asteroid not that long ago. What was that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, shit, maybe that has been long ago. That must
3
have been
years ago, I think.
No. This was much longer than that.
Really?
I think this is closer to 7-8 years ago at this point.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe there was a European Union then that was like 3 years ago.
So yeah, it's not that far fetched. That we, are able to do this. It's not.
Yeah, and this asteroid's coming close to us. That's why it's making its orbit around Earth. Yeah, in 2027, and we're just going to launch something. But can you mine it that quickly?
No, that's something I think that would take a very, very long time. Unless you put Bruce Willis and his crew from Armageddon up there, they'd get it done.
Those movies are so funny, man.
I love that.
Those blockbuster movies. Yeah, when was it? Like, we don't do that anymore. Now it's just all superhero movies.
Yeah. So I watched. Going back to movies. Fuck. Sorry. I watched. There's this movie on HBO Max called Moonfall. You can probably, from the title of the movie, guess what it's about.
Right. But, was it good?
No, it was awful. It was just straight up trash. But it reminded me of those movies, Armageddon, Independence Day, all those 2012, all those disaster, high budget CGI movies that came out in the aughts,
so dorky.
Yeah, we went through that phase for a long time. Deep Impact was one of them. There was that one where they take like a subterranean train to go restart the Earth's core. I think it's called the core.
The core, yeah.
That movie was trash. My favorite is Danny Boyle's Sunshine, where they have to go restart the sun. Really stupid, but love the director.
The sun. Oh, I think I heard about that one. Didn't watch it.
It was good. I liked it, but it turned into a slasher fic in the last third, which is kind of bizarre. Anyway, let's stop talking about movies because that'll be our new podcast. I could talk about movies for a long time.
Well, you sent me a good Medium article about that the Navy servicemen. They report triangle UFOs.
Yeah,
naval air stations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. I know that I heard another Navy. I don't know if he was in this article, but I heard him on Rogan also talk about for 3 hours about this stuff. And he was basically saying that they got new radar systems, and once those radar systems were turned on, all of a sudden they're seeing shit everywhere, and it's all these cubes within spheres or spheres within cubes, something like that, and that we can't see them with our eyes, but our radar can see them, and they're in the infrared and ultraviolet. He was saying so on both spectrums.
It's a very bizarre phenomenon, and it brings up a lot of questions. Are we just now seeing these things because our technology is getting more advanced? Are we just seeing these things because they're more interested in us now? Are we seeing these things because governments around the world are now getting more technologically advanced and able to create these craft? I mean, there's no answer. I don't know what the answer is. Do you think that extraterrestrials are a little bit more interested in us now? Or do you think they've always been here and now we're just finally started able to see them? I
think they've always been here. I think there was more of an interest once we started going to war and nukes and stuff like that. And then, and I think the radar systems that we gave the naval officers, the black budget world's probably had for 30 years. So I think, for sure, like the NSA developed this a long time ago. And now it's just, it's not too crazy to see these things. It's been kind of normalized. And Congress is pushing to find out what this stuff is. But they're obviously here. Maybe it's just another species on this planet, not really extraterrestrial.
Yeah. I had a question. Okay, here's my question for you. So, as we've established, extraterrestrials do seem very interested in our nuclear capabilities.
Yeah.
Have been ever since the first bombs went off. Now, do you think I've started going the other way at it? Do you just think that's confirmation bias because our government is a lot more observant around our nuclear facilities, and that's why we see these aircraft around weapons technology?
Oh yeah, someone did say that.
Or do you think they truly are more interested in our nuclear capabilities? And
because they turned them off in the past, and there's been also reports of us shooting rockets or missiles, and they go around these missiles to shoot down missiles also. So even when we're doing tests, nuclear tests in space, a lot of those rockets which failed, like a lot, like over like 60% of them failed to even like launch. So something is messing with us with that. But you have a good point. Now, military bases, especially nuclear military bases, have a lot of sensors obviously around them and surveillance technology, right? Mm-hmm. Way more than anywhere else. So someone said, what if you put all that stuff somewhere else? Would you also see UFOs? Maybe they're not looking at military bases. Maybe we're just looking out more at military bases.
Yeah. See, and that's again. I'm sorry. And I keep bringing up questions that have no answers. I apologize for that. But that's something that's been rattling around in my head, especially this week. I don't know why this week, but I had that question. I was like, maybe they're. But that being said, if that truly is the case, if we were to take all of this sensor technology and put it in the middle of nowhere, and we're seeing all this stuff, does that mean these craft are just everywhere all the time? Because that would be insane to me. That means, that's a level of interaction that would just be absolutely insane to have if you think about it.
You just reminded me of something. There's this one. Is he Italian? Anyway, he created a new lens. Instead of it convex, it's concave. I think. I have to go back and look at this. And he did it. He has a patent and everything. And when he started filming, and he said they're there all the time, we just can't see them, and I can prove it. And he would just point his camera anywhere, and they're there. You know, I think they even did a press release. Should I look this up now? It'll be good to talk about this maybe next time. Concave lenses, UFOs. Here it is. Detection via new telescope. Breaking news. New telescope observes otherwise invisible terrestrial entities with intelligent movements. So this is on.
Please send that to me. That sounds fascinating. I'd love to talk about that.
So, and then that brings up, like, I think we had a series in the 80s also, a British one. I'm trying to remember that was the case too. That these things, they're always there. They're just looking at us and observing us, and we just can't see them. You know, kind of like a Truman Show.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, you know, kind of like, again, going back to when we study lab rats are somewhat aware that we're there, we're watching them, but they don't understand what we're doing. And it would be the same thing on a higher level. We had a higher level of entities watching us. Maybe they're studying us. Maybe they're manipulating us. I mean, by definition, we can't possibly know what their intentions are.
Yeah, that's it on Pinterest, but you can probably take that and go down the rabbit hole and figure out who the guy is. And I remember his Galileo telescope, convex lenses. Very strange.
I'll take a look at that.
All right, yeah. So there's that. I mean, everyone always feels this is a Truman Show, especially like flat earthers, right? This is a.
It's all fake.
Exactly.
I do want to. So we were talking about the triangle UFOs, and you had sent me an article just on the right after that about the headline is Stanford top scientist said intelligence community thinks grays are intermediaries.
Yes.
And that's something we've talked about on this show. We've uncovered that anomaly.
We have uncovered that anomaly. You heard it here first.
But it is a very cool concept, and I do think this is probably the most likely thing that's going on.
Yes, we do it all the time. We do it with insects all the time, you know. And I think if we get really good, which we are with nanotech and making robots with nanotech and sensors, and we could actually go in there and interact with ants, like maybe be even part of their community and really find out what they're doing. So, you know, it's not far-fetched that something way beyond this, way more intelligent, on a completely different reality, a different level, to create things like the Greys.
Exactly.
Right?
And we probably talked about it in one of our early episodes, but it's something that I truly believe that true extraterrestrials. I'm not counting. Sorry, I don't mean to say true. When I say I'm not discounting the belief that there's life in our universe, but I think most likely the extraterrestrials that we have interacted with on our planet are from another dimension, from another reality. But they can't stick around here. That's why they don't just land on the White House lawn. They can only stick around here for a little time. So they do have to create the Greys or these little bio robots that interact with us, because for whatever reason they can't interact on our scale. Like
it makes the hybridization. It makes the hybridization program. You know, it gives it a reason.
It gives it a reason. Exactly. Yeah. It's the same thing. Like if we found some sort of two-dimensional universe, there's no way we could interact with it. We're 3D creatures, and we can't even create something that's 2D. Like people might look at a piece of paper and go, "Oh, that's 2D," but it's not. It still has thickness.
Right.
Like we can't fathom something that is completely, and I mean completely flat, zero degrees tall, whatever that degree might be.
Like microscopes. I mean, if you put that thing that you're looking through is supposedly a flat piece of glass, right? But then you go in there, and then there's things crawling around in there that still look flat, but they're not. If you go deeper, or if you focus more, there was one person on TikTok that streams their microscope, whatever what they find in the microscope, and there's creatures in there. Like they look 3D, but if you look from far, they look 2D.
Right. So if my point is, if we were going to try and interact with this 2D universe, hypothetical 2D universe, we'd have to create something that's 2D to go in there. Same like, you know, if there's a 4D dimension or something else above us, they'd have to create something in our 3D universe to interact with us. That's what the bio robot, the Greys, you know, hypothetically, that's what they would be. And I think this theory has a lot of credence. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of evidence that shows this might be the case. Evidence.
Yeah. I mean, there's people who've said that even like planets are actually fifth dimensional beings, but we see them as planets. We can't see them as conscious living entities.
That's a really
the way we see them is just these just hunks of, gas or for us rock, but it's actually a living intelligence on another level. We just can't fathom it.
Well, yeah.
But we see it just as planets, right? Yeah, but that's another thing.
Yeah.
The trick is consciousness, and that's what it always leads to with UFOs and aliens and these subjects, is that they have also mastered consciousness.
That's why we can be right, and that's what the manipulation. When you listen to these people and these people discuss their extraterrestrial abductions, it's always is it telekinesis or telekinesis when you can move stuff with your mind? Telepathy.
Yeah.
It's always they're always able to, they can calm you down. They speak to you without using words. It's because masters of consciousness. Again, more evidence showing that this is the case.
But how the telepathy thing? Even if they understand, there's a Reddit thing of that telescope I sent you. But with telepathy, I mean, say we can put chips in our heads and whatnot and try to communicate with others that way. How are you doing it? Like, how does it turn into your language? How, with these abduction cases, how do they hear the thoughts of these beings?
But, again, I think it's just a dimensional. It's the problem with cross-dimensional communication. I mean, it's so hard. You need to. I know I keep harping on it. I hope you're still reading that book I recommended, The Three Body Problem, because they kind of get into this. But basically, a fourth dimensional being would be able to see our thoughts.
I see what you're saying.
Because they literally can you don't have to know the language, but you can if you can take a thought and see it and see what it is. Just like if I'm looking at a tree and I see an apple and I can pull the apple off the tree. Let's say I can change the apple's color and put it back on the tree. That's how I imagine the communication would work. You don't have to know what language the apple is speaking. You just can, you can change it. You can manipulate it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So, but from that premise, we're basically saying all thoughts are not original and all thoughts have been thought about, at some point. So that's why it's recognizable.
Yes and no. I just think if you're on a higher, I don't know. It's just like, okay, you were talking about ants earlier. Let's say I want to grab a group of ants. All I have to do is put a sugar cube down next to the ant pile and give it a couple of seconds. Right. It's not knowing what the thoughts of the ant are. It's just saying, I know that they're going to go to the sugar cube, so you put the sugar cube down. I don't know. That's a really simple way of putting it. I don't think interdimensional communication would be that much different. No, it's not impossible. But I mean, again, this is all high level science fiction, really. I mean, if it's been proven in our world, in our reality, we sure as shit don't have the answers. We haven't been told anything.
No, we haven't. But
apparently it's so terrifying that the government won't even let us get a hint of what it truly is about.
Yeah, and maybe that's why there's a fight in the government to stop fossil fuels. Well, they're calling it fossil fuels, but I mean to stop oil and gas. Maybe it's to force these technologies out. Maybe that's the only way to force it, or else we're all going to die. Because if they really get rid of fossil fuels, people are going to freeze to death. People are going to starve to death. It's going to be bad if they get their way. Maybe that's what the push is.
I hope they have foresight enough to, if they truly are going to go down that route, they have something that is proven that can replace it. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, if we really do have these anti-gravity craft, then they have a source of energy that is very, very powerful.
Yeah, that's always been an interesting thought to me too, is because on our planet, in our society right now, we don't have infinite sustainable energy. Everything comes from a battery. And when I say a battery, I don't mean like a car battery. I mean there's a source of energy. Yeah. And it always gets depleted. We haven't quite figured out a way to not have an energy source that's not depleted. It has to be refueled at some point.
Right.
Even even when they say renewable energy, they're talking about wind and water. It's not infinitely sustained. It's close.
Not at all. Yeah.
But it's not infinite.
And it's not reliable.
No, it's not.
Not yet.
So that's why there's a big push for nuclear power, which I'm not against.
Yeah, me neither. It's clean.
Yeah, and it's again not infinitely sustainable, but it's close.
It's close and it's cheap. That's what we need. We need cheap. So there was this great debate. I don't know what school it is, but it's somewhere in England. And I always see videos for them. And they have debates. And they have really smart people that come up there. And this one guy came up and he was talking about global warming and woke ideology and this generation. And I guess it was his generation too, or is he older? But he had a great argument. He goes, in the past, we believed in human ingenuity. We didn't just give up. We didn't just say, all right, let's just stop all this. We had goals. And, and he's saying the goal for this should be, we should have a pro-human ideology or a pro-human agenda instead of anti-human, that we should push for more people to thrive, and get wealthy. And we should push for new technologies to help us do this, to bring down the cost of energy, right? Instead of this anti-human agenda, which just wants to cut humanity out of the picture and say, all right, no more human activity. I like that philosophy.
And it goes along, hand in hand with politics or anything really. We don't want the people involved. We want people involved, like the general public involved with all of this as little as possible. I mean, that to me that's truly the anti-human agenda. Everything from technology to farm subsidies. I was just reading an article about this farmer had to throw away, tons and tons and tons of his produce because government won't allow him to sell his excess stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous. Why in the world are we allowing our government to tell us what we can and cannot sell? I mean, obviously there's when I say sell, I mean, my first thought went to, I don't want someone selling plutonium to just the general public. That'd be dangerous. To a point, I understand, but I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous how much is kept from the people.
Yeah, and we pretty much are a socialist or communist country. We just don't talk about it. And the government has overstepped its boundaries on many issues, and it always starts with our safety and always starts with national security, which is fine. But then it just morphs into more and more things that
it grows and grows and grows.
Yeah, where corporations can use the government.
Look at the Patriot Act and the NSA and all that stuff.
No, it's being used against white Americans.
Yeah, whatever.
Ron Paul warned us.
Yeah, they say the slippery slope's not real as they're falling down a cliffside.
It is so real. I mean, I always have that argument that slippery slope is a fallacy. No, it's not. But apparently it's a fallacy just for debates. It's a fallacy apparently. So you can't use it for debate reasons. I think that's fucking dumb too. Yeah, me too, man. Because it's real.
It is, as absolutely. It's been proven time and time again.
Especially with the government.
Yeah.
Man, imagine if they repeal the Patriot Act. I mean, I know there's a big push, especially with the Republicans in Congress, because a lot of people. I heard like Twitter Spaces. When it's audio file, it's like radio. It's like a podcast almost, but it's on Twitter. And they're asking these congressmen, like normal people, like, can we ever get back to the country we know before 9/11, where we just went to the airport with like, in 15 minutes we're in. We don't have to go through a TSA and all that stuff. And he's like, well, we still have a problem with terrorism in the world. And this is what the congressman was saying. So, despite the people wanting to go back to an America pre 9/11, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it?
The TSA has been proven to be completely fucking worthless. And not just worthless. Actually, like they've been caught stealing. They've been caught fondling. I mean, they do more harm than good, and they don't catch. That's the thing that people don't seem to understand. They don't catch terrorists until after they've committed the thing.
Yeah.
Like the reason. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, when you're going through and you're getting scanned, you have to take your shoes off because there was a shoe bomber. They didn't catch the shoe bomber. The shoe bomber succeeded, and that's why you have to take your shoes off.
The people stopped him on the plane. Like, what are you doing, dude? And he failed. He failed, and that's why we have that stupid rule.
Yeah. It's so dumb.
So dumb. And even now, Department of Homeland Security, I mean, we created that after 9/11. We didn't need it, obviously. We have an open border that they're just letting people in and gaslighting us that they're not. They wanted to create a board of, like, a Ministry of Truth, like a disinformation board. Like, what the hell are they doing? Like, they're using all these tools now, created after 9/11, on the American people.
Yeah.
And the excuse was terrorism. But now, of course, we have domestic terrorists. Anyone who believes in the Constitution is a domestic terrorist.
Domestic terrorist. We could, and probably should, maybe when we get our feet under us a little bit more, do a whole episode on 9/11. Okay. I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, before it's illegal.
For those of you who don't, was it all of them, or the vast majority of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia?
Vast majority. I think 90% is like one or two from Lebanon, or one guy from Lebanon, but yeah, the vast majority were Saudis.
And they did they get a slap on the wrist? Saudi? I don't think so.
Oh yeah, nothing happened to Saudi. On the contrary, we look at them now.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to stop talking because I could go on a whole rant about 9/11 right now.
Yeah, we could do an episode on 9/11. Maybe we could do on the anniversary. I guess that's in 7 months, though.
That's fine. That gives us plenty of time to figure our shit out.
Okay, let's do that. There's a ton of stuff out there.
I would love to do a 9/11 episode. Okay. I mean, it's a very sad
All right,
thing.
So we're going to do it. We're saying it here. We're announcing it here. We're going to do it on the anniversary of 9/11. It might be a 2-hour show.
Come back in 7 months.
Yes.
Well, all right. Should we wrap it up?
Yes, let's wrap it up.
Man, these fly by. When we were first getting talking about this podcast, I thought an hour would be too long, but
there's a really good model out there where you do a 2-hour show, but you give everyone 1 hour, and then if you want the whole hour, you have to subscribe.
The whole 2 hours, you mean?
Yeah, if you want the whole 2 hours, you subscribe with $5 a month, something like that, and then everyone else will just get the 1 hour one. So we could, if you want, do that down the road sometime.
No, this is good. Maybe when we get this down to a true science, we could start putting an outline together. I mean, we're doing a little bit better with staying on track because we're sending each other articles throughout the week.
Yeah.
But that way, because I have a big problem with it, is I go off on tangents about stuff that I don't need to talk about. That kind of takes away from the conversation.
Not really. I think they're not too off topic. I think if we start getting interviews in place, because that might be able for us to add another hour if we have an interview also. Yeah, where we bring in someone.
Yeah, that'd be great. Honestly, I want to start with interviewing just your regular Joe people, because that actually interests me more than the quote unquote experts. I don't want to say quote unquote. That makes it sound like a big dick. There are true experts out there.
Yeah.
Anytime I see the term experts say, I cringe a little bit, because usually most of the time they're unnamed and it means absolutely nothing.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to, that's why we talked about interviewing your mom. I think that'd be a fun interview. I'd like to interview just people who are your average Joe public, because truthfully, that's who's listening right now.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. And that's who cares about this stuff.
Yeah. So speaking of which, why don't you tell us where people can find us so they can ask us questions or possibly be interviewed?
You can find us on anchor.fm. That's where the podcast resides. And it's also on Spotify. We can be on other ones. I say this every week. I just don't want us to be banned on one, because I did get for some reason last week, Spotify made me say something about I agree. It was something about their policies or something like that. So I was scared they're gonna get rid of us. But I don't want us to be banned at one of the big ones, because if we're banned at one of the big ones, we're completely banned. Yeah.
Anyway, and we're really still just getting started, so there's no point in taking it like that. We'll start small and we'll grow as we go.
Yeah. But we do have an RSS feed on anchor.fm, so you can just take that actually and put it into any podcast app like a Podcast Addict, and you can add it on there, and then you'll get the weekly shows automatically downloaded. So we're there. You can find us on Twitter I'm gonna put us on Rumble today. Actually, once we get these episodes up, I'm gonna put all the shows on Rumble. So you'll find us on Rumble, Twitter at UAP the podcast. You can interact with us there. Give us feedback, questions. Maybe you want to be on the show. Let us know.
Yeah, hey man, if you've been abducted by aliens, hit us up. I'm dead serious. I would love to talk to someone. I've read all the famous cases. I think all of them, almost all of them. I'm obsessed with that topic. That's one of my favorite things to talk about. I would love to ask questions. If you want to reach out to, what's your personal your UAP? Do you have a UAP Twitter?
Well,
or is it just that you use the main one?
Yeah, I use the main one. Yes. I mean, should I do a personal one?
No, if you want. I was just wondering if you did, because I was going to say you can find me at uap.topher it all. That's Topher with PH.
Your account has some cool images. Your profile picture is really cool. The background one is nice. Where'd you get those?
I don't know. I made them myself. I did a bunch of acid and drew them myself.
They're very
very, very trippy. I think that's why I picked them. I need to actually start using Twitter. Yeah, I don't know where I found them. I'm not honestly. I'm not quite sure. Shout out to whatever artist made those. They're very cool pictures. All right, thank you all so much for listening to the UAP podcast. That's Uncovering Anomalies podcast. Hit us up. Let us know how we're doing. If you want us to talk about any topic, we will. We'll talk about anything, even if we don't have any idea about it. We'll talk out of our asses for an hour. That's been proven time and time again.
And we do respond to Twitter really quickly, and we're always on there. So definitely don't be scared. Don't be shy.
I'm gonna make a subreddit.
Oh yeah, good idea. If you can
post articles in there,
we can put clips on there, even the articles where we share with each other, we can put on there like for the show.
Now that's
right.
That's a great idea. Yeah,
it'll be a good repository. Actually,
I was joking, but that doesn't seem like such a bad idea at all. All right, great.
You know what other shows do, like ones that start getting following, they do a Discord server. So like
I'm not a Discord guy. I mean, you could try it.
Me neither. I have tried it. It's the notifications are too much. It's just
it's a young person's game.
Is that what it is?
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll try it out. We both have full-time jobs and we're working on this.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
We basically have time for it, on the weekends.
Right. And I feel like Discord's one of those things you have to be on like all the time online. And I can't.
Not do that. Yeah. It'll drive us nuts.
If you want to start your own fan Discord, listen, be our guest.
Right.
We'll check in once a week. All right. Thank you all so much for listening. Any last words? Oh, you know what? I have a quote that I sent to you that I think this is good. This is from High Res the Rapper.
Oh yeah.
On Twitter. If the government told people to literally eat shit, there would be people online within hours telling us how yummy it tastes and posting their favorite recipe. They would be arguing how people who don't eat shit are radical conspiracy theorists. It's insane. Ain't that the truth? Thank you so much. High Res the Rapper.
Yeah, he's the best.
Very good quote and absolutely true.
Yeah, so true. I think there was this one meme when COVID came out about the government told you to walk on four on your hands, to walk on your hands to like it'll help you get rid of COVID, that people would.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, awesome.
All right, thank you all so much. Enjoy the doubleheader this week, and we will see you guys next time.